14, broke the scheme to get more green than I'd ever seen in the dream. And by all means, I will be living high off the hog. Never give a fuck about much but my dog. That's my only home. I'd hit off in my last. It's another love, come on, and it know it fast. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, got to get up. Get me back on my feet so I can kiss. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, got to get up. Get me back on my feet so I can kiss. That ain't the how. It's worse as I get older. Actions become bold. Heart got cold. Chip on my shoulder that I did it. Touch. Didn't need a click because I scared it that much. One deep with the starting for kicks. Catching Vicks, throwing bricks. Getting by, being slick. Used to get high just to get by. Used to have to call in the morning before I get five. Ate something. Couple of 40s made me hate something. After some hurt, now I'm ready to take some. 3 years later, showing signs of stress. Didn't keep my hair cut, so give a how I dress. I'm possessed by the darker side. Living the cruddy life. Why? Like this, kept it with a bloody knife. Wanna make records with a up. Slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling. Slipping, falling, can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, got to get up. Get me back on my feet so I can kiss. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, I can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, I can't get up. Yo, I'm slipping, falling, I got to get up. Get me back on my feet so I can kiss. Wasn't long before I hit rock bottom. Like damn.
You are? Okay. I couldn't see.
I just want to thank everybody.
I can't see you, but you're on.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming. My name is Jermaine. Welcome. We're so glad that everybody turned out. We're so glad that you're here. This is a little informal meet and greet right now. So as we wait for the other people to arrive, we're just going to send people to breakout rooms with 2 other people, 3 to a room. So hopefully you can meet somebody else tonight that you never met before we begin. Feel free to share your name, the organization you're affiliated with, and what brings you to this work. And please try to keep it brief because we only have just a couple of minutes. We're going to try to start on time at exactly 7:35. So as you're coming in, we have someone that will be sending you to rooms, separate breakout rooms. I'm being invited to a breakout room. I'll see you guys in 3 minutes.
Quick question, since now that we've gotten on here, we will stay like in the email loop and stuff.
And welcome, Jermaine. You are on mute.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to thank everybody. I know that was short and brief, but we're trying to respect everyone's time tonight. So we're trying to make sure we fit everything in. We're glad to have so many people able to join us. There's never enough time. But now that we're all back together, we want to invite everyone to type your name in the chat, where you're located, and any in-prison program that you're connected to. You can put that in the chat. And if you feel comfortable, you can put your contact information in the chat. Give you a couple of seconds to do that while Jeannie will pull up a slide. Jeannie is going to put up a slide. There it is right there of our agenda this evening. And our hope is that in the next hour, you have a better sense of how this coalition came about and how you could get involved. But before we do that, housekeeping, a couple of logistical notes. Please take note that this session is being recorded. Keep yourself on mute during the presentations so that we can have a clear recording. And we will have time for questions at the end. And if you would like, you can type your questions in the chat during the presentations, and we can add to them. We can add them as we go along, and it'll better facilitate question and answering because we have a lot of people here and we appreciate that, but we want to make sure anyone that has a question receives an answer. But before we jump into the actual night's event, I want to hand it over to Carolyn Policarpus and Anthony LaPuma with the AVP program, so they can start us off with a grounding exercise.
So, hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Policarpus. I'm the AVP Outside Coordinator at Greenhaven. So we're going to start with a grounding exercise to bring us all into a common space, and that'll be led by Anthony LaPuma. Anthony is a longtime, amazing AVP facilitator. He's always organized, on top of things, inspired, fun, and he's always lived up to his adjective name, which is Positive Puma. So Anthony did 24 plus years. He came home on February 23rd of this year. And it's a real joy to pass to Positive Anthony LaPuma. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank everybody for inviting me to this groundbreaking meeting today, because it's definitely groundbreaking and monumental, all of us coming together for a common cause. So what I would like to do this exercise is a grounding technique. It's form-fitting for what we are here to accomplish today. So the goal is to identify the elements in the world around us. You know, life is like a painting. We have a blank canvas in front of us, and we're going to paint our own picture now. So as your mind begins to focus on these things, it will be less focused on the sudden rush of anxiety or madness around us. We have to stay focused on what we have in front of us. So I'm going to ask everybody, just in their mind, to think of 5 things that you can see. Now think of 4 things that you can feel. Think of 3 things that you can hear. Think of 2 things that you can smell. And finally, think of 1 thing that you can taste. So the purpose of this exercise is to identify the elements in the world around you. Where your mind begins to focus on these things, it will be less focused on the sudden rush of uneasiness or madness around us. This will help us slow our heart rates, control our breathing, and make us feel better overall. And I think that's the purpose of all of us coming together, to share our experiences and try to help the men that are still in these uneasy times to ease themselves. And this is something easy that we all could do throughout our day when we begin to get a little anxiety or unnerving, just to change our mindset, change the way we think. And that's what AVP has showed us. Transforming power, to transform the negative ways to the positive things. And you know what? That's what we're here to try to do, this groundbreaking meeting, to change the ways of the past and move forward on something cohesively that we all could benefit from.
Thank you,
With that,
Anthony.
I want to thank everybody once again.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that activity. And of course, we know you meant the men and the women, so that's what I'm here for. We here, each one, we're here to help each other, and we want to help all the men and the women that we left behind and the people that need our help. And with that said, we want to know who is in this room. So I'm going to do a quick activity to find out who's in the room. Let's get a sense of why we're here. You know, who is here and how do we fit into this group? And how can we all come together to achieve a common goal? So I want to say the activity is going to work like this. I want you to pick up something, a piece of paper, a sticky pad, a Post-it note, doesn't matter, that you can actually cover your camera with. If you don't have anything at the ready, I'm going to use my finger. So you can use your finger to cover the camera. At the same time, if possible, if you're not on your phone, place your display in gallery view so you can see as many people as possible. When we say go, we want everybody to cover the camera. And then I'm going to read a statement. If that statement is true for you, uncover your camera, take a look around, and see who else that statement is true for. And then we'll say, okay, after a couple of minutes, you get to look around, you can cover your camera again. And we're going to read a few questions. And if there is no statement that's true for you, just hang out, keep your camera covered until one fits. So let's get a sense of what brings everybody to this gathering. we're going to say go. I'm going to cover my camera, go. Everybody camera should be covered. First question is, I have participated in a community-based program while in prison. is absolutely truthful. Look around and see who else is in the room. Okay, okay. Let's cover our cameras again. I have facilitated a community-based program inside a New York prison, and I'm going to change that to any prison. Okay, okay, okay. Let's go again. Cover the cameras again. Now we're going to get a sense of where we all coming from. I am located in upstate New York. Okay, we can cover again. I am located in downstate New York. Okay, not as many. We got a lot of upstate New Yorkers, that's cool. Let's cover again. I am located outside of New York State. Okay. We got some folks representing outside of New York State. Now let's see how familiar you are with prison program gatherings or with this gathering of prison programs. I have attended a meeting of the Inside Coalition, a group that has been gathering prison program providers together over the last 9 months. Okay, we got some folks in the house. Let's go, cover again. This is my first time attending a meeting with this group. Okay, not as many, that's cool. We got some newly interested folks in here. And finally, and I hope this applies to everyone, I am interested in supporting individuals impacted by incarceration. Okay, I see everybody. All right, thank everybody for that. Thank you for your participation. I mean, it's good to see everybody's faces and get a little sense of what brings all of us to this gathering. Tonight, we want to share with you a little bit more about the history and background of the Transformative in Prison Workshop, or the TPW as we call it, specifically what is developing here in New York State. So, but first we want to start with obviously the origin. So we're going to start with hearing from our friends out in California to learn more about the work that they've been involved with, starting with Ken Hartman. We just call him Ken. Ken, the mic is yours.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. I'm assuming we're going to put a presentation up. There we go. So I am the advocacy director for the California edition of the Transformative in Prison Work Group. I've held this position for, I don't know, 6 months, something like that. And I was a member of the leadership team for a couple of years prior to that. And I am, we're working on a whole lot of things, and I'm really excited that one of the things we're working on is seeing ourselves expand into New York State. So we can go to the next one, Jenny. Right, so right now we are actually 60 plus community-based organizations. We've been growing so fast, we can't keep our slides up with it. And our members run healing programs in all 35 California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation facilities. And if you look at that bunch of logos right there, that's not even near all of them. There's a whole bunch more, but those are all the many of the groups that do the work that are members of us. So we're very proud of all those groups. They do tremendous work. Next one, Ginny. Right, so what is our mission? Our mission is to ensure that all people living in California prisons have access to meaningful, high-quality programs and accelerate the impact of recent sentencing reforms towards our North Star goal of decarceration. We're hopeful that it will soon say ensure that all people living in prisons have access to this meaningful and high-quality programs. Because we want to expand to the entire country. And we're really excited that New York will be the next state to take on the same mission that we have, we hope. So next one, Ginny. Right, so what is our work? Our work is community building and breaking isolation. It's administrative advocacy with the CDCR. It's research and communication, and it's legislative advocacy. In a nutshell, we try to help our member organizations connect and feel like they're part of a larger group instead of, most of the time people feel like they're working by themselves in a silo. And I think this prison system likes it that way. We spend a lot of time talking with the administration of the CDCR, trying to change policies, trying to fix things that are going wrong, trying to get our member organizations treated with more respect. And we do a lot of research and communication with a lot of other organizations and agencies and various other things. And we are engaged in legislative advocacy, which we'll hear a little bit more about as we go. But I am literally fielding emails from a senator's office in the California State Senate as we're talking right now. So we're trying to be as proactive as we can to make real changes in what's going on in the prison system. Next one, Ginny. Right, so TPW, this is at our last big gathering that we had prior to the world, grinding to a halt. And so you're seeing a couple of folks there that are former leadership team members and some other people that were at our convening. So the TPW is the only statewide coalition organizing for community-based organization programs to become the cornerstone of rehabilitation in the California prison system. TPW and our members are advocating for alternatives to retributive justice and an end to the public misunderstanding that human beings cannot change. Fundamentally, we seek to create systems of care that promote dignity, safety, and belonging for all people. I think that it's really important from our perspective, and I'm fairly confident everybody that's watching this agrees. We know that everyone is capable of, rising above their worst moments. We believe that all human beings are capable of becoming better. And we believe that the prison system should be there to promote that happening. It should not be there to grind people down and make them suffer. That doesn't do anyone any good. Next one, Ginny. Yeah, so over the past 3 years, our advocacy has actually doubled the state budget for in-prison programs in California. We've strengthened the collective power of California's restorative justice and healing sector, and we've accelerated decarceration. That group of folks you're seeing in that picture, many of them are formerly incarcerated people. I think I looked at this picture one time, and I think there's at least, 400 or 500 years of time served in California prisons. And there's a whole bunch of other folks there. In fact, there are family members of survivors of murder. There are people who are program providers. There are educators. It's an amazing coalition of people who are on all sides of this debate, but fundamentally we all want to try to do the same thing, which is change the unhealthy prison system. Ginny? Right, so another thing that we really care about, and I am confident that you all probably are feeling the exact same thing about this. We want to elevate our providers. Our program providers are not volunteers. They are professionals and leaders in the field that provide dignified programs to restore our people in prisons and create safer communities while elevating the cause of community-led solutions to harm. And many of our member organizations are led by the people who have survived incarceration and participated in the very programs we represent. I am one of the folks who benefited from the programs provided by our member organizations. And we in California are on a mission to take away we believe that it is a demeaning term. There's nothing wrong with volunteers. Volunteers are lovely people, but the folks that are coming in providing these programs are professionals. And we think they like the term volunteers because it somehow indicates they're not serious. So really working as hard as we can on that. Okay, Jenny. Right, so the case for healing in prison, it's the road home. Right? And again, our members' programs that are often directed by formerly incarcerated leaders break from purely punitive models and demonstrate that transformational healing is possible. What does this mean on the ground? For those of you who haven't been in prison, the programs that are brought in by community-based organizations, I know there's a contingent of people here from the Alternatives Violence Program. I am a facilitator for AVP. I was while I was inside. Also a facilitator for the Houses of Healing program, and I co-wrote the Creating a Healing Society program in California. We know that the kind of programs that are provided by people that are here in this collective who come in and do the work, professionals who come in and do the work, this is the real healing. This is the kind of stuff that actually transforms lives and changes people and how they interact with the world. And maybe most importantly, how they interact with themselves, gives people a chance to rise above those worst moments and become better human beings and be able to get out and become real contributive members to society, make a difference. There's a reason why so many of these programs are led by people who took the programs inside, because the programs create really amazing human beings And we think that this is the model to change the way prison is done in the United States, where the purpose of prison is to heal people. It's not to make people hurt. So that's that. And what's up, Jenny? Okay. So one of the things that we try to remember and we try to point out to everyone, it's like almost everyone who is incarcerated in California, and I assume New York as well, will ultimately return home to our communities, and supporting their transition benefits us all. This is at a older group that met, a convening, a statewide convening. Everyone in that picture is a former lifer who has served a lot of time in California prisons. That picture right there literally has hundreds of years of people of time. And you'll see my big head in the background there. I did 38 years. And the guy that I've got my arm around that you can barely see his face, he did 25 years for writing bad checks, like literally. And, you know, this is the sort of crazy depth that the prison systems have reached in California. I think it's pretty bad in New York too. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. I think the whole country went on this crazy binge of, we're just going to give people more and more and more time, and somehow it's going to make things better. We all know that that isn't how it works. We all know that treating people poorly and less than as our fellow human beings doesn't actually make anyone better. And the TPW is sort of based on this idea, first put together by the leaders of 4 large organizations who do the pro work inside. They're still members of TPW. And those people put together TPW with the idea of creating an entity that would have the capacity to negotiate with the prison system, to reach out to the legislature. And that would be what we're looking at right now. So these are the outcomes, some of the things that we've done just over the past year. There's a thing in California called rehabilitative achievement credits. At one point, we had it restored. We're still in a long pitched battle to have it fully restored and be people earning the credits, but we actually created RAC. Our organizations actually were part of creating rehabilitative achievement credits for taking the kind of programs that your people provide. People can get time off their sentence. We support member organizations to convert their in-person curriculum into correspondence during the pandemic so people could continue to take their programs. We've been working on tech decisions. CDCR is in the process of purchasing tablets for every single person in the prison system. And we are going to, that went off a little faster than I'd hoped. But yeah, and we now have quarterly meetings with the CDCR so that people can see our questions being asked and what the answer is. And we are working really hard on decarceration efforts with a lot of key partners in the state of California. Okay, how about the next one now? Right, and so with the correspondence, we've provided technical assistance. We've brought in people who know how to do this to help our members navigate the COVID-19 situation, to convert their in-person program into correspondence programs, which turns out to be an extraordinarily complicated thing, but we're really happy that a lot of it has happened. We hope to use this going forward for prisons that are not well served out in the rural areas and don't have volunteers. Next one. Ooh, there it is. Yeah, and we have been bringing in national and state community-based partners to talk about how we can influence the way that the tablets are used so we can provide the most options and the most opportunities for folks inside to be able to do the kind of work that we hope they have an opportunity to do. Next one. Right, and we have, that's our direct advocacy with CDCR, the quarterly meetings. We've been working to expand RAC. We've been doing conversation with CDCR about their incoming tech contract, trying to make sure that it doesn't replace in-person programming, but it ensures the most access. Next. I think we've seen these. Here we go. And here we are at the 1% campaign, which we don't have a lot of time, but I'll try to get through as fast as I can. As it stands right now, our goal is to have 1% of the California Department of, I call it the California Department of Corruption and Retaliation, their budget, which is about $14 billion right now. We want 140 million of that to be taken out of the guns and bullets and bars and steel and turned into our partners that are in TPW and our other community-based organizations that are doing real work. We are trying to make this happen through a whole lot of different ways, organizing, laying the groundwork for this, and we are trying to do this so that we can continue to win hearts and minds, ensuring that all people are treated with dignity and respect and have the right to healing and compassion. Next. And there we are back again at that picture. You can see my big head. I think, are we done? There we go. And coming up in the near future, there will be a retreat for the New York TPW, Saturday, May 8th. And that will be between 10 and 12 and 2 and 4 on Zoom. And I think that's the end of my presentation. And I think I'm on time too. I'm proud of myself.
Actually, you're early. Thank you very much, Ken.
I'm early. Okay, that's amazing. That rarely happens.
I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody, and you know, you set the motto. You set the bar for tonight, because we want to respect everyone's time. We want to say we're going to start at 7:30 and end at 8:30. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's always inspiring to hear about the work you guys are doing on the West Coast, or as we call the left coast. And it always makes me feel good. It makes us feel good to know how many different programs are coming together to support one another in advocating for the people that we left inside. With that said, that's the left coast. We're going to come to the East Coast, and I'm going to turn it over to Thorin Day so he can tell you a little bit about what's happening right here in New York. Thorin,
Thank you, Jermaine. So left coast, west coast, east coast, west coast, doesn't matter which coast you're on, right? A lot of our problems are the same. A lot of our circumstances are very similar. And it's kind of mind-boggling how it takes so much time and devastation for us to realize these things. Well, it didn't take New York that long to figure this out, right? We came together very quickly once COVID hit, and we came together in a meaningful way to decide, what are we going to do, right? We're all in the same boat. We don't have access to our programs. We don't have access to our people, and it's killing us. So I'm Thorin Day, Executive Director of Network Support Services, one of the few organizations supporting forming of the New York chapter of the TPW. A little history, a little background. In June of 2020, a group of community-based organizations, excuse me here, I am reading from the script because I must. In June of 2020, a group of community-based organizations providing programming inside the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, we met to form a coalition in response to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and their ability to continue providing program services to their participants, duly dubbed the Inside Coalition. After meeting for several months, these organizations realized that their challenges extended beyond this one point in time, but really centered in the need for increased communication, collaboration, and standardization between the Department of Corrections and community-based organizations. They also realized this dire need for the increased communication, collaboration, and standardization between themselves as community-based organizations. In November of 2020, this coalition, the Inside Coalition, met with the Transformative In-Prison Working Group. And as you have just learned from Ken, their values and missions were aligned with our intentions. Not too much was different, and we strongly didn't believe in reinventing the wheel. Modeling the TPW's work in California, in February of 2021, the Inside Coalition and the California TPW aligned to initiate the New York chapter of the TPW to tackle the challenges that New York community-based organizations are facing throughout the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. It didn't take us long, like I said, right? We sat for a couple of months. We came together in a very collective, very strong, organized manner. And our intent really was to do something different and to make this change happen. I really do appreciate meeting Caitlin and the entire TPW crew out in California. And we thank you for being or allowing us to be with you this evening. Back to you, Jermaine.
Thank you so much, Thorin. Thank you. So now that you heard about the history of the TPW in California, in the left coast, and the start of the coalition over here on New York, we would like to present Alejo Rodriguez and Kimberly Malone. We talked about what happened there. We talked about what's happening here. We need to talk about what's happening now. So we're going to present Alejo Rodriguez and Kimberly Malone to let you know what is happening right now.
Hello, everyone. It's so encouraging to see so many people here this evening. My name is Kimberly Malone, and I coordinate the Rising Hope educational program at Sing Sing Prison. And all of us here have been so inspired by the momentum and the advocacy and the support that the members of the California TPW have been able to achieve in these last few years. And so we're excited to build on that foundation and create a space for New York alumni and programs to network together and to troubleshoot the specific challenges we're facing here in New York.
Hello, my name is Alejo Rodriguez, and I am a board member of Network Support Services. I am also formerly incarcerated, having served 32 years in the New York prison system. And I'm happy to be here with you all, and also very just active and happy, I should say, that we're moving forward with TPW New York. So here we want to highlight a couple of values that are really important to us in this work. And as something that these are the things that we've identified, and we're inviting others to consider these and maybe even think of what more can be added. So the first we have is that we believe in the transformative process. We believe that people in prison are more than the experiences that led to their incarceration. And when provided with meaningful resources and opportunities, they become agents of change in the transformative process. That directly impacted leadership is key and central. From the start, this group has been intentional about creating leadership opportunities for alumni of the in-prison programs. As the saying goes, nothing about us without us. We want this coalition to be guided and shaped by those who have been directly impacted by prison. Over the last 9 months of gathering, we've noticed some themes of what could use our attention. We want to share with them those themes, share with you those themes. At the same time, we recognize that those of you who have been participating up until this point are a small representation of the larger prison organizations that volunteer in prisons in New York State. And so we are eager to broaden our perspective and include your voices into that collective vision.
So as Alejo shared, we're going to share just a few themes. And one of those themes is the importance of networking and support. One of our first objectives is to get a better understanding of what in-prison programs in New York are offering, so that we can collaborate, share best practices, and become a stronger referral network. In part because we recognize that at times we've been competitive with one another, and we have the opportunity to reshape those relationships. In fact, we've heard from program participants inside that at times they've felt the strains between programs, and sometimes they feel caught in the middle. One of our goals for this group is to build on shared commitments and values.
We also value this idea, or the theme that we have emerged from, is developing a new, repurposing our relationship with docs. It is clear that CBO's relationship with docs in New York here is inconsistent between programs and facilities. We are looking to strengthen our communications and advocate for more consistent policies and procedures between programs. We want to view the potential for new relationships with docs as community liaisons, if you would. We recognize the potential for us to be community liaisons, that is, enabling people to return to the community better acclimated to society. However, not just focus on the success of individuals in prison, but in the development of accountable community relations as a preemptive strategy in support of public safety as well.
And as Ken alluded to earlier, there is a strong theme for advocacy. We've been inspired by the California TPW's 1% campaign, and we are also been inspired here in New York by the New York Consortium of Higher Ed Programs when they did the PPE drive at the beginning of the pandemic. And we know that we're stronger together than we are on our own. For example, participating in a coalition offers greater strength and cover for individual programs to hold docs accountable. Together, we have a greater ability to identify and address the structural challenges that currently prohibit us from being able to really bring about prison reform. This coalition can be a vehicle for change in a way that our individual programs can't be.
And we recognize that the significance of having meaningful reentry support, a continuum of services both inside and outside, and establishing community relations. We know that securing housing and jobs are two of the greatest hurdles for our program participants upon release, especially for those settling upstate. Many programs don't have the infrastructure or bandwidth to create a dynamic support system for individuals once they are released.
So these are just a few of the themes that we have been recognizing. I hope they resonate with you. And we want to figure out specifically what this group is going to prioritize and start spending our time and energy on. So we're looking forward to partnering together and to building some momentum. Back to you, Jermaine.
And we've shared a lot of information with you. Obviously, we were only here for an hour, and you can't solve a systemic structural problem in an hour, but we definitely want to leave time to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts and questions. And we want to talk about ways that you could get involved. And we want to offer other ways that we all can come together and be involved. And I guess I'll pass it to Thorin right now to share ways how everyone can get involved before we move on to questions and answers.
Thank you, Jermaine. Let's see, how can we? We're still in the formation stages and creating an action plan. Our next step will be gathering on Sunday, May 8th, as Ken mentioned, for a larger retreat. That time is from 10 to 12 p.m. and again from 2 to 4 p.m. And it's a strategy retreat. We're looking to build and strategize, as Alejo and Kimberly mentioned, going over some of those topics and objectives. We'll share a link in the chat if you're interested in joining. So please do click on that link and check us out. So if you're interested for the upcoming strategy retreat on May 8th from 10 to 4, basically, click on the link for more information and to moving forward, there are also various different ways to get involved. We'll be hosting occasional events and gatherings. We're currently having monthly meetings. For those who have a little bit more energy and a little bit more time to invest, we'll be forming working groups with the opportunity to chair some of these committees and to participate. We'll have more information about these committees and about some more of these actions at the retreat. And finally, we do have a leadership team that will help to guide this coalition forward. Myself and a few other members on this call are part of that leadership team. And at this point, there will be many different more ways to get involved, and we would love for you to join us. So please do check out some of the information that will be shared in that nice slide. And if you know more organizations that are interested in participating in this New York chapter, please have them email us at newyork@thetpw.org. Let's see, Jermaine.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we shared a lot, we spoke a lot. At this point, we know we're all involved if we're here, but we want to get more involved and we want to come together more. So we shared a lot of information and now we want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions that you haven't already put in the chat, or if anybody has something that's, they burn an idea, a question, a comment, a concern, now is the time. We're actually ahead of time, so we have more time than originally thought for questions and answers. And with that, I will turn it over to Caitlin.
Awesome. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you, everyone. It is so exciting to be with you all tonight. I work at the TPW in California, and I'm going to be just running through questions with you all. There's one question that just came into the chat. Can we provide a high-level overview of what the retreat will entail? And essentially, it's going to be coming together with as many program providers and alum as possible to really do some visioning for what this coalition can accomplish and what the key priorities for these next 3, 6, 9, 12 months can be. So it's going to be a meeting of the minds. We're going to be able to share with you all what we've already done in the groups that's been meeting as the Inside Coalition for almost a year now. We'll share where we are there, and then together we'll think about where this coalition really wants to focus as it gets off the ground. So that's kind of the high level overview. We'll be sending out to everyone who is on this meeting tonight more information about the retreat as we get closer to the date. We just wanted to get that save the date link out to everybody since it's coming up pretty soon. All right, are you interested in partnering with organizations that provide services in local jails? Yes, absolutely. So we in the California team got initiated by folks providing in-prison programs and state prison programs. And so that's how we got the name. But really, we're interested in supporting programs in any form of detention, any form of correctional control. And so jails, detention centers, state prisons, federal, etc. How do the prison administrators respond to our initiatives? Ken, do you want to chime in on the question of how in California do prison administrators respond to our initiatives?
Sure, I'm happy to, Caitlin. Well, I mean, usually they're with welcome, they open arms, they thank us for it, and sometimes they take us to dinner. No, actually, they, I mean, look, let's be honest about it. We're not partners with them. We're not friends. We are an advocacy group. We are there to try to expand the possibilities for people that are doing work that frankly may not be considered to be in their best interest. We want to get people out of prison as fast as possible. We want people to get the kind of help that they need so that they can be sprung out as quickly as possible. They can go to board, be found suitable, leave, earn time off of their sentence, get out. We believe in decarceration. We think there's too many people in prison doing too much time. We don't make any bones about that. But the flip side of that is we represent a lot of organizations that do a lot of important work inside, and to their credit, although they grudgingly will admit this, they know it's true. We are doing the most important work inside, which is helping get people prepared to get out and live good lives and successful lives. So in that perspective, they listen to us, they take meetings with us. We have sometimes contentious meetings. We have sometimes relatively, peaceful, friendly meetings. It kind of depends on which month it is and everything. But, I liken it to, I did very similar stuff while I was in prison. I don't know about the New York prison system, but we had something called the Men's Advisory Council in all the prisons. People were elected to sort of represent folks inside, met with the warden, met with other officials. In some ways it's kind of similar to that. Sometimes they lie and don't tell us the truth and do that. But sometimes, I'd say overall, they see us as a group that is important and matters, and they meet with us. So, and I suspect it would be the same anywhere.
Thanks, Ken. So I see the questions that are coming into the chat. And I also cautiously say, feel free to unmute yourselves if you have a question that you want to ask, because I say cautiously, of course, y'all are all facilitators. And so the risk of that, but I also think it's beneficial for us to see each other's faces. And so I'm going to keep going through some of these chat questions, but if you have another question or a comment, feel free to unmute yourselves. So this next question here, it's an interesting question. What would you say is your key measure of success for these programs? And actually, I think you have your hand raised now. I'm not sure if it's Maurice. Do you want to go ahead, please?
Sure, yeah. Hi, guys. So yeah, I wanted to just find out the answer to that question. I had another one as well, but I'll let you answer that one first around the measurements for success.
So it's an interesting question. I'll just say briefly, this is something we have thought a lot about and are thinking a lot about. We know that research coming out of prisons, by which I mean research run by the prisons or by the state, they are only interested in measuring recidivism, right? And we are interested in all of the many benefits of the types of healing programs that communities run inside. And so we've started to think about what are kind of what we call what's a liberatory framework for measuring the power of programs inside of prison. For example, family connection, self-forgiveness, all of those different pieces. And what we're trying to do eventually is figure out how to break down some of the barriers to research in the California system that I assume happen in other state systems, to be able to really, through program evaluation of the different different community-based programs, to be able to truly measure in like a scientifically rigorous way the benefits. And so that's something we've been talking about for a couple of years now, and would certainly be interested in continuing to talk about it with you all. So thank you for raising that question.
Of course. And then the other one I had was just that, is this program accessible to everybody within the prison, or do people have to apply to participate in them?
So it depends on, Ken, you want to take it?
No, when we're talking about our member organizations programs?
So I think the question essentially is, do people, so the TPW does not provide in-prison programs. We're the coalition of in-prison programs, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So all of our members provide in-prison programs, and each of those 60 different community programs will have a different protocol for getting into their programs and how that works. And so another question that I saw here is, do programs ever get in trouble for their advocacy? And it's a great question, right? Because we all know how easy it is to make one wrong step or have something perceived as a wrong step and get kicked out of a program. That's one of the benefits of the TPW, right? Because we can provide that political cover. I don't provide in-prison programs. I can be on the phone with the CDCR folks, right? And engage with them in that way. As a staff, we are able to have that cover because we don't have anything to lose, right? But our members do have something to lose. And so it's helpful to have that advocacy umbrella to provide some political cover. So I'm going to try to turn to some other questions here. And also, again, feel free to unmute yourselves.
Hi, Caitlin. This
Hi.
is a rep. I just noticed in the chat a lot of AVPers. And for those that are in the Westchester area, I like to invite them to the Westchester Area Council for AVP, because I see some fellas here that aren't there. So we just like to invite y'all, let y'all know we're here, and we're a community out here as well.
Awesome. I think this is one of the beautiful things. I see all of the adjectives coming through. This is one of the beautiful things of being able to connect in forums like this, is that exact sort of thing.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi.
Hi, this is Arthur, Reverend Rose. I had asked a question, and it's also addressed to Ken. Since we have spent so much time in the university, I call it, as you will, are our programs also addressing, do we have outreach workers for those that have fallen through the cracks, that are back on the street corners, that are shooting CeeLo, that they're selling dope in the area, they're resorting back to their former ways? Are we still trying to reach them as well?
So basically the programs that we deal with are programs that are run in prison. Some of our programs do some reentry work. And that's like, and for those folks, there are programs out here that are available. This is I don't know what's happening in New York, but in California, there are programs that, pay for housing for folks that don't have housing. There's a whole lot of other things. I don't know that anyone is engaged in sort of getting down into the street level, trying to like pull people back into programs. I'm not aware of that going on with our programs. Like I say, most of them do in prison work. I know there are organizations that do that kind of work in California, and I'm in LA myself. Quite a few organizations do that in LA, but I don't know that our members are primarily in prison program providers.
I'll share on that. And Alejo, I wonder if you are thinking the same thing I'm thinking there about some of what you've talked about, Alejo, about what you would like to see the New York team be able to do in terms of reentry support. If you want to say a few words about that.
Yeah, thank you for calling on me, Caitlin. So in part, and two, I have to like enter into this question a little bit from a different angle, and that is the idea for the TPW is not just simply going back into corrections to repeat the same type of practices that we've been experiencing all this time, right? It's about trying to develop a new form or repurposing a new type of relationship that volunteer programs or civilian run programs has with docs. So that's critical. And the idea too is also supporting, not just in terms of in prison, not just focusing our attention on in prison work, but actually shifting that attention to lift up what Ken had pointed out, that much of our work is the work that really causes great transformation, unlike what docs presents, right? So I think we think it's about time we start lifting up that quality of what we offer in a way that says we're probably the best position to support healthy transitions back into community. So this steps into reentry as well, right? Where we're thinking about how can we support a continuum of services so that many individuals get involved with different types of programs on the inside, very great programs, and then still have to be released to take the same program outside ran by somebody else. And there's and even though they probably still excel, there's still a disconnect in the support. The people on the outside doesn't know who the person on the inside is until he comes out there, and he or she has to start all over again and trying to develop a rapport. What we're hoping, trying to do in this area, that the focus is supporting a continuum of services, so that we have individual who's connected with programs on the inside is supported with individuals on the outside who they know or they're aware of him or her in their transition. Of course, a lot of that needs to be fleshed out. We don't have all the ducks in a row. It's not, we're still at the infancy stage, but it's the infancy stage of dreaming that by keeping our feet to the ground, like we're thinking of high level and high overall arching vision of what we can do in New York and transforming the carceral state. At the same time, we realize concrete steps got to be put in place in order to reach that vision.
Yeah, and can I just follow? I just want to follow Alejo just for 1 second, just a quick follow-up on that. And that is, I think it's really useful to know that in California, and everybody can join, we don't mind. But in California, when the pandemic hit and they had to release a bunch of people early, the director of corrections in California reached out to our member organizations and said, hey, can you guys provide people rides home? Because they didn't have the infrastructure to do that. And one of the things that really, this is one of those moments where we kind of won something that they weren't really anticipating. There were a lot of rules set up where folks who were in a program, when they get out, couldn't communicate with the people in the program. There were all these over familiarity rules and all that. I don't know how it is in New York, but it was like that in California. They've actually lowered the bar on that now dramatically, and people are able to communicate with programs, particularly after they said, would you come and pick this guy up and take him home? So I think we do actually have some follow through on that. And like I said in my presentation, a lot of the people who lead the programs and work for the programs and run them are formerly incarcerated people.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. I saw that Marcellus wanted to say something, please.
Well, I'm out here on Long Island, but I have connections in the city, because whenever you do time in New York State, you always meet the people in the city. Sometimes they try to take out sneakers and stuff like that, but that's another story. Housing is the most important thing to an individual coming home. Running the programs and meeting them as soon as they get out, that going to get them will be a perfect opportunity. A young lady out of Suffolk County, she started something like that, where she goes and picks the individual up when they get out of the county jail. The county jail calls her, and she's arranged to go pick them up, because that's the most vital time for an individual. New York State, parole
I happen to have inroads in New York State parole where I run a gang intervention program. So they're open to our outside entities coming in to help because they realize, as somebody said, we're the best ones to teach them about the pitfalls, about the temptations, and things of that nature. And sometimes they go into these systems, these shelter systems, who's not equipped to handle these individuals, and then they get kicked out of the shelter, and then sometimes they just go on the run because they've done so much time. They know that if you go to parole without an address, you're capable of getting locked back up. So if we can formulate something, and I know I just came or whatever, where we put some of that concentration on having the individuals that are formerly incarcerated run some of these houses. Erica Ford just accomplished something amazing, and that's a little bit off the subject, but it's dealing with gang violence and gun violence and things of that nature. And she has access to Biden gave the money down for the infrastructure to include these type of things. But when I was on the conversation, it was a guy from saying that he forced his legislation to give up some money just for people coming home and affording that legislation or that state or city or wherever he was from with the funding to create housing for individuals coming home. Because when you mix somebody coming home with somebody that's chronic homeless, that's just playing the system, or somebody just a substance abuser that just knows how to use the system and get around, and you put individuals just coming home, we almost ruin their chances for success, because now I'm right next door to somebody that's already in the streets, smoking weed in the house and doing different things. So I'm definitely want to be a part of this. I give all my resources indoors to this because Antonia invited me and I totally trust her. So, and I see some familiar names on this thing that I've seen around, and I'm proud to be a part of this. I'm glad that you invited me, and I want to be somebody that can help and open these doors.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we are just about at time, and our goal is to respect all of y'all's time. It seems like y'all have a lot more to talk about, right? Seems like maybe this is just the beginning of a conversation and not the end of a conversation. I'm seeing a lot of nods to that. And so it seems like we're in the right place and we're with the right people. Very excited to be with you all. I want to send a couple quick thank yous before we begin to close. I want to especially thank all the folks who've been meeting for over 9 months in the Inside Coalition. I want to thank all the folks who've been on the inside doing this work for decades, who are really leading the vision of this work, and all the people who have been on the leadership team for really trying to put this event together and the retreat together. Thank you for your good work. It's obviously paid off. And thank you for all of you for joining us tonight. And so with that, I'm going to turn over to Thorin for a very swift goodbye to folks and some next steps. Thanks. And Thorin, you're up.
Next steps, I already gave you. Come check us out on the 8th. I hope you click the link, copied and pasted, and I'm going to do Reverend Run style. Peace and blessings, and good night, everybody.
That was swift. Thanks, y'all. Great to see you.
Peace and blessing.
Peace and blessings to everybody.
Bye, everybody.